Welcome students, in this class we will be learning about variables. Now foremost, what is a variable? This is a very important question. The solution is too simple. It is a container that houses the value, or you can say constant, for the program. It can be anything. Now when we talk about constants, they are classified as string, numeric and boolean. Now these are the three different types of constants which we will actually look into. And since I've just mentioned constants, there are three types of variables that we will be looking into, and those types are string, numeric and boolean. So even in variables we got three categories: string, numeric and boolean. Now it is imperative to understand that variables are actually the bloodline for the program. So when I say bloodline for the program, without variables you cannot write a sensible program. Now when I talk about programs, I'm talking about coding language. So we are basically, in this class we will be dealing with JavaScript. Now JavaScript is a powerful language. Now when I say language, it has the ability to perform numeric operations, validations, and make informed choices. So these are some of the volatile, or I would say potent power of the language JavaScript. Now when we talk about HTML can only give the foundation or help us to place the foundation of the document that we have in mind onto the browser, and we need CSS to design it. But if you want to bring in any type of dynamic qualities into the program or into the page, we need JavaScript. So without JavaScript, the page will be just a standalone page with no capabilities to interact with the user. So having mentioned that, let us go a bit in detail about variables. Now point number 6 is there are three ways to use a variable, or I would say to define a variable. Now what are the three ways? One is to use the keyword let, the other one to use the keyword var, and finally to use the keyword const. Now const comes into play only when we are dealing with functions. So as of now we will be using let and var. Now JavaScript is a case sensitive language, so you have to be careful whenever you are using keywords. You cannot just use or mix cases, so have that in mind. Now having mentioned this, if you want to make an assignment to a variable, say assignment to a variable is done using, we would use what is called as the equal to sign. So this is for assigning. Now there are times when we would use two equal tos and three equal tos, but those are not for assigning, so have that in mind. So having mentioned this, in today's class I would be implementing whatever I've just explained to you now about variables by means of a small illustration which would be browser compatible, meaning I would put this on the browser for user to interact with. So let us move on. Let us start by placing the exclamatory. So title, I will change the title. This is to demonstrate the act or action of a variable. Now I will have to link a CSS file, so let's do that. So link rel is equal to style sheet, and then type is equal to text slash CSS, href is equal to CSS slash style1.css. So this is the CSS I will be using. Now the idea is to create an input box. So I will say label, enter your name, and then the input box. So input type is equal to text. I want to give an ID, and the ID is name, and probably I'll give a placeholder name, and then that's fine. And then after some time, or I would say after the input box, I would like to create a button. Say button ID is equal to btn1, and probably I'll say submit. And then I would like to have a message, and I will say ID is equal to message, and I will leave that empty. So I save this folder, and this is the lesson. I'm going to open it with Firefox. This is what I've got. Enter your name, and say I'm entering the name as Jill, and I'm making the submission. Nothing happens. There isn't anything happening. So this is what HTML and CSS is capable of doing. Have that in mind. So there is no interaction that is being brought in. So what we have to do is we have to bring in that dynamic nature. So when I click this, something has to take place. So how is it possible? So go to the button and then give a on-click event. So on-click is equal to function 1, open parenthesis and close parenthesis. So I'm going to write a code for this function, and for that we need the script. I open and close it, and then I need a keyword called function, and then the name of the function, open parenthesis. Now when this happens, I would have to gather the name from the text box. So I'm going to say name is equal to document dot get element by ID, and you say name and get its value, and then place a semicolon. Now what am I doing here? I'm actually using, we are using DOM manipulation. Now what does DOM stands for? It stands for document object model. Now what exactly is this document object model? This gives us the ability to capture information from the HTML. That's simple as that. So in this case I got an HTML tag. I want to get the value that has been placed inside this. Now how do I get it? I would have to use this, what is called a document object model. So this is the method that we are using, document.getElement by ID. So next I need to utilize the h2 tag here. The h2 tag, I need to place something there. So I'm going to say message is equal to document dot query selector. So this is what we have to use. Now when you place the within the parenthesis, when you are mentioning the h2 tag, you will have to place channel because it's an ID. Of course you might be asking me why I did not place an ID here, but that is the way it works. The language is designed like that. So what I am doing here, I am actually capturing the space that is present in this h2 tag, and then I will manipulate it using the variable message.inner html is equal to welcome space, there is a concatenation symbol, I'll say name, and then I'll say concatenation symbol, and then this is an addition test. That's it, simple. And then I'm going to save this. So these are the few lines of script that allows us to capture the name and then print a message using this HTML tag. So let's go back and give a name. I'm going to give a name as, say, Eunice, and then say submit. So it says welcome Eunice, this is an addition test. You see the message that's being displayed. Okay, now coming back to the point, why do I call this a variable? Why? Now instead of Eunice, if I were to replace the name by James and say submit, you see that? Welcome James, this is an addition test. Okay, alright, this is a good place for us to stop. And